So I may have been wrong about crochet. I have been knitting for, gross, 11 years. And through that time, I have occasionally tried to learn to crochet, and it's been a disaster because I am a knitter and I understand having a thing in each hand. And I would try and crochet, but I would have a hook in one hand and then the thing in the other, and I would try and move them like I was knitting. That's not how you crochet. Crochet is a different craft. And when I took over the shop, people would come in and ask me crochet questions, and I would hide below the counter and make someone else answer them. It kind of became a thing that I didn't crochet and I didn't like crochet, and I may have used the phrase use two sticks like a real man, which is just offensive on multiple levels. And now I love crochet. Would a person who hated crochet make this? This is my granny hexagon cardigan, and I love it. It's amazing. It's Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in crochet cardigan form. I started it over Christmas, and I just really enjoyed making it, and now I really enjoy wearing it. And it's pretty simple because it's just granny hexagons, not granny squares, that fold up in this enchanting way to become half a cardi. And then you join the two together, and then you add some bits, and then you've got a cardigan. So what I'm saying is I was wrong about crochet. I think the problem is that I, as a knitter, love making garments. And crochet and garments, despite the fact I'm holding one right now, not always the best mix, okay? Often crochet jumpers, to me, look like you wanted to knit a jumper, but you only know how to crochet. And I don't like the texture it creates. However, when I realized that when you actually apply the good things about crochet to garments, like the amazing stripes you get in granny square and granny stripes, or all of the textural things you can do, then I got it. Because previously, I had crocheted a couple of toys and a basket. And that made a lot of sense to me. Ultimately, a basket is a big flat toy. That's how they're made. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense because you're using crochet to make a kind of 3D thing. It's got all the structure because it uses the yarn. But a garment, no. Then somebody made this at the shop, and now I wear this every day. It's made in rowan felted tweed in 8 different colours, and I had to use very little of the second ball of all of them. So I have enough for, a child's version. I don't have a child. Let's put it on. Look, there was a big debate, and when I say big debate, I mean an Instagram poll about whether I should keep the sleeves as they were or make them balloon sleeves. Now, you will be able to tell which one out here because I had got to this point and I was finding it very boring. Even though I was only doing a small amount, when you're going all the way around the hexagon, that's a lot of stitches. I was only going around one side of the hexagon to do the sleeves. It was wearing me down, but I had this idea to do a big sleeve all the way here, balloon sleeve with a cuff. But then I had left it so that I could wear it while the sleeves were in construction, so I would add a colour every day and just go to work with a string hanging off my arm, which is fine. And then I just kind of really liked it, and I started saying, no, it's very Chanel jacket. It's tweed, it's boxy, and decided maybe I didn't want a balloon sleeve, partly because it looked good, as it was, and partly because then I didn't have to do more work. It's just a dog outside. Also, the camera on the iPhone, when rotated this way, looks like an owl screaming at me. An owl with a beauty mark, and it's very off-putting. Anyway, the poll won out at cropped sleeves. There was some debate as to whether when winter comes next year, I could put the sleeve on if I wanted to. Could I have some kind of tearaway Chippendales balloon sleeve. But what I think I'm actually going to do is just make a balloon sleeve one in different yarn, because I think there's something, somebody came and was like, it's very Missoni. And I will agree, because I don't really know what the reference is. So I'll just say yes, because it was a compliment. Thank you. And I think this style really works with the cropped sleeve. And I'm going to do a balloon sleeve version in a different yarn. But yeah, I was wrong about crochet. Crochet is great. All I want to do is crochet. Yesterday, I even taught crochet. That's growth. You know, I used to hide behind a counter, and now I'm teaching granny squares. And also what was nice is, because this is granny hexagons, this was actually my first ever granny square, was in the class that I was teaching. Is this how you do thumbnails? Right? YouTube. So this kind of is this is the kind of thing you could wing, as it were. But I did use a pattern for it, and that is the Granny Hexagon Cardigan by Kelly Phelps, who's known as Craft and a Cuppa on Etsy, Ravelry, etc. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna make more, because it's fun. Yeah, and I guess I like crochet now. Coffee break. It is rare for me to have a finished object. It's like the antithesis of my style of craft, which is you never finish anything. But this was kind of, I mean, dare I say it, I became a monogamous crafter. This was pretty much my only project. And it got finished in a reasonable amount of time. And it turns out that if you finish your projects, you can wear them and they're great. Who knew? So now I'm going to talk about what I'm working on. And this entire segment is a lie, because if I tell you it's my works in progress, it's not. It's 2 of my works in progress. I don't want to tell you how many I have, partly because I don't know, and partly because it's so embarrassing. Because I have walked into a room and said, my whips are down to single figures, by which I meant 9. And everyone's looked at me and like, it's not good. That's still too many. So this segment is fictional, in that I'm going to show you 2 projects, but they're the projects I'm actually working on. So we could say that these are the works in progress and everything else is just works. So these are whips. And they're really great and I'm enjoying them, which is, I don't feel like, I'm finishing this, what a slog. So number 1, we have, as I always have, a basic raglan jumper by Locatelli. Oh my god, it smells amazing. Just smelled it up. Oh boy, howdy. These smell like sheep, and I mean like in a nice clean way. Smells like a National Trust farm when you're on holiday. But the West Yorkshire spinners, most of their yarn, but especially what I'm using, is just perfect sheepiness. Yes, so I'm using West Yorkshire spinners fleece, 100% British wool, blue face Leicester. It's double knit. Now, this range is, they have undyed colours. This is the, I mean, it's just so good. Ecru, cream, yeah, like 001 colour. And as you can see, I am knitting it the way I knit all top down jumpers, on too short a needle, because it's very close to splitting off for the sleeves, but it currently looks like the top half of a sad jellyfish. So it really needs to be on, I don't know what this is. This is an 80? Maybe it should be on 100? But yeah, I've got about 12 rows to go before I split off for the sleeves. So I'm not doing that, but as you can see, we're very close to the top. Now, am I doing the whole thing in cream? No, because I will spill coffee on it. I mean, this is dangerous just as is. I'm going to talk about this in a later video, but I have knitted this pattern multiple times. I finished some of them as well. So every time I've knitted it, I've done a different design with it. And turns out there are only about 4 different jumpers in the world. But this one I am doing as a sort of Breton stripe. So it's cream on the yoke, and then once we hit the sleeves and the body, it's going to be a Breton stripe in this color, which almost perfectly matches my dungarees. We've got the cream, the fleece. I have a skein of this wound up ready to go. This is only one skein. This is the end of the first skein, has got me all the way through. And I'm knitting a bigger size than usual. Another thing we'll come to when we discuss this jumper is that I committed to a art piece in which I always knitted it exactly the same. But I started this art piece in 2019. And so the size of that art piece no longer fits me. And I realized that if I was going to knit a jumper that I was really excited about, the colors, the yarn, the not casting on this jumper again for reasons, I should maybe make it fit and knit it how I want it. So I'm knitting a bigger size, and when I get to the body, I'm going to cast on slightly more stitches under the arm so that it's a little boxier. I'm not going to do any waist shaping, and I'm going to make it shorter because I'm all about things that are cropped and square. If they can stick awkwardly out of the side of a pair of dungarees, that's my jam. But I'm just really enjoying it so much. I ripped this out, holy moly, a week ago. So a week ago I had the neckband. I had been doing it with a class, and I had got to about here, and I didn't like the short rows that I'd done. I didn't like the size that I'd done, so I decided to rip back. I didn't do wrap and turn, I did German short rows. They are, I mean, where are they is what I'm saying. So now I'm a German short rows devotee. Lovely to change things about your knitting so many years in. You just go, oh, I don't do that anymore. I used to do that, I hated it. Turns out there was another thing I could have been doing all this time. Yeah, so I've done that in a week. I did knit on a train. I did go to Birmingham and back on one day, which was a lot. But I did train knitting. I'm so close to casting, or to splitting off for the sleeves. Oh my god, it's gonna be so good. I'm gonna have a jumper that I want to wear, with a cardigan I want to wear. That's crochet. Who am I? But that's my home knitting. So although I claimed maybe I was becoming a monogamous knitter, that's not the truth, Ellen. I am a monogamous home, and then I have like a work wife. I have a work wife project. That creaky chair on this creaky floor, nightmarish. So I'm knitting on aluminium straight needles. Not my favorite, but it's what we had in the big paper bag of miscellaneous old needles that the shop has accrued over 11 years of existence. It's okay. You know, normally I would be knitting this on round needles on my symphonies, my Knit Pro symphonies, available at Slip Stitch. And normally I would even have considered converting this knitting in the round, but I didn't care enough to do that. Also, it is a pattern that supports one of the yarns we sell. So I like when we make a sample, it's to really reflect what the actual jumper will be. Because, you know, if I make something and then I go, oh yeah, but by the way, I did it in the round, or I did it like this, it's not then necessarily the easiest thing for everyone else. So this is called the Jetta sweater. Fun to say. Let's find a good picture of it. Ta-da! Now, you can see, it is, what's that? Cropped and boxy, you say? And it's got all this texture that starts at the bottom, and then it actually fades up into the jumper, which isn't as clear in the pictures, but it's really fun. I have had to photocopy the pattern so that I can tick it off as I go, because there's a lot of knit 1 purl 14, knit 1 purl 15, knit 1 purl 12, knit 1 purl 14, knit 1 purl 14, knit 1 purl 8. That requires ticking off as I go. And obviously I've got extremely far with it. That's all I've done. And this was cast on, long before Mr. I've completed my yoke. Where are you going? Creaky chair, creaky floor, creaky spine. But this is our new wool that has been unbelievably successful. It is the Kremke Reborn Wool Recycled. There are sometimes yarns have names that you can put in any order. Recycled Reborn Wool, Recycled Wool Reborn. Kremke Soul Wool, and I think Soul Wool might be a tagline, so it might just be Kremke. Kremke Soul Wool Reborn Wool Recycled. Words. In the colour 04 light orange, don't quote me on that. I've given up looking things up. Comes in skeins. My tip, if you are, well, you have to wind it, is even if you've made it a lovely cake on a ball winder, go from the outside, because I found it was getting stuck. And, recycled wool, they have slightly shorter fibres because of the nature of the way it's made. And if it gets stuck on itself, it can break. And I've had no problems once I'm going from the outside. So that is my little tip. It's so nice to work with. It's at least 65% wool, which I love that they go, okay, so it is a wool, and there's a lot of wool, but they make it out of post-consumer garments, post-consumer textiles, old clothes, and very few garments made now commercially are 100% wool. So they take anything that's over 60% wool, and of course that could be 60 to 100, but is more likely to be around 75, 80, and shred it up, and they divide it by colour and then re-dye it. And some of them have little flecks of other colour in. So they say, well, it's at least 65%. I think part of having sustainable options is going, you can't necessarily have not to say you can't have what you want, but it's at least 65. But yeah, you could wait, well, I only want 100% recycled wool. That's going to be really difficult to source and more expensive, and will end up with loads of stuff sitting around not getting recycled. So if I don't necessarily like knitting with acrylic or using acrylic in my clothes as much, however, if it's a majority wool and it's recycled and it feels really nice, it's really cool because you can tell that there is, I was going to say something fibrous going on, but that sounds like I'm talking about roughage. But there's something going on. This is not, you can tell it's not 100% virgin wool. Again, don't like that phrase either. Yeah, there's something about the texture to it that I really like. I mean, who knows when I'm going to finish it, because if I'm only knitting when I'm in the shop, hopefully the shop's really busy, so I never get to knit it. But I did a little bit today. So I'll put a stitch marker in there so that we know where I got to. So next time I do this, we can see all of the, 4 rows that I've managed to knit. So yeah, that is the Jetta sweater from Everyday Basics, and on sale now in slip stitch, as is the Soul Wool. Soul Wool's £5.50, the book is £5. This is £12.95, but it's a very different product, and I mean, I'll take this one because I've clearly just rubbed my face on it. So those are my current whips. I mean, I would love to tell you, here's my wish list, here's what I'm excited about, but I cannot, the psychic space getting excited about other projects would take up, I don't have it. So although I'm constantly favoriting patterns and things, I will not be discussing them because it would take me away from two projects as monogamy to me. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been really fun and quite stressful because this is the first YouTube video I've filmed. I did one last year and then my laptop died, and it just is so out of date, and that one is gone. But this is actually a finished thing, and I've got new tech since then, so it actually is a lot easier to film. The setup is quite cool. Yeah, so I will be back soon with hopefully just tons of finished objects. Maybe some excitement about new things. Definitely a review of the art piece. In the meantime, please have nice craft time. In the meantime, enjoy your crafting. We are open online and in store in glorious North London. I am going to finish my coffee. I might knit a few rows. Then I'm going to go home, edit this, and have a breakdown. Bye-bye!